Thanks to the Air Force Aid Society, I was able to pay the rent on time.
I was able to get my car fixed in an emergency.
If it weren't for the Air Force Aid Society, I don't know how I would have gotten home.
I don't know if I would have been able to make it back to see my grandfather.
As a first sergeant, I am better able to help my members get through difficult times.
Because of the Air Force Aid Society, I was able to put food on the table for my family.
I feel like I was able to take better care of my daughter.
I felt like I had the support that I needed when I was in a tough situation.
Because of the Air Force Aid Society, I was able to get on with my life worry-free.
It's helped me to be a better leader, a better mentor, and a better airman.
The Air Force Aid Society was chartered March 9, 1942 as the Army Air Forces Aid Society. When it was founded by Happen B. Arnold, they were responding to the tremendous losses that the new Army Air Corps, the new Air Force Airmen were suffering during the bombing missions in World War II. And Hap Arnold and his wife Bee looked at all of these tremendous losses, all of these families now without fathers, brothers.
General Arnold's vision was that airmen ought to be able to take care of airmen. And so that was the genesis of it. So I think the idea of creating an Air Force Aid Society before there was even an Air Force was absolutely visionary.
The Air Force Aid Society has a storied history of outstanding individuals who come to serve the society in many different posts, and one notable would be Eddie Rickenbacker.
The famous World War I ace, founder of Eastern Airlines, who was our longest serving board president. General Arnold spent a good part of his career in Southern California. He had some interesting acquaintances and ties with folks in the entertainment industry. Moss Hart was commissioned by General Arnold to write a play that talked to what it took to be an airman and made a movie. And in fact, copyright for that play, Moss Hart gave that to the society. Anybody that remembers the old TV shows might remember Arthur Godfrey, but a longtime supporter of the Air Force Aid Society. So we're grateful to some of those early folks, and that continued on into the later years of the society.
In the first 30 or 40 years of the Air Force Aid Society's life, contributions exceeded the need in any one year. And as a result of that, we were able to build up a corpus. And that corpus then grew on its own through a lot of good years. It's a great story. It really becomes an intergenerational support system where yesterday's veterans are taking care of today's veterans, just as they were taken care of by a generation of veterans ahead of them.
The Air Force Aid Society is an integral part of helping the Air Force support airmen to support its mission.
We are always mission focused, and if we have things that are going on the side for our airmen or their families that don't allow them to focus on the mission, then we're not being as productive as we can as the United States Air Force.
It's kind of hard to focus on whatever task at hand when you're worrying about, how am I going to buy food for the kids?
And we found ourselves backtracking on bills and felt like we were drowning. And we were able to come here and get the help we needed through the Air Force Aid Society, and they kind of got us back on our feet.
Our primary mission is relieving financial distress for airmen and their families, followed by educational support for airmen and their dependents, and then followed by what we call community enhancement programs.
There's always emergencies, there's always families who pass away and you have to go home. There's always going to be situations with finance where something messes up with your vouchers, your check, whatever. You never know. It can happen to literally anyone.
The Air Force Aid Society has some wonderful education programs.
I've known families who watch their children graduate with a degree because of the Air Force Aid.
There are various community programs. Programs are funded by Air Force Aid Society, offered through the Airmen and Family Readiness Center, and it doesn't cost the airmen or their families anything.
The Air Force Aid Society is exceptionally agile. Several years ago, we recognized that airmen with financial problems were turning to payday lenders. And so the society created the Falcon Loan Program. to bridge that gap between next month's paycheck and this month's bills.
In these turbulent times that we had today, we cannot forget about the rule of the wingman. You never fall off the wing. You're always there to support your leader. And we take care of one another.
And we have things like the floods that are going on in North Carolina and Florida right now.
We had the twin shocks of Rita and Katrina. Those sorts of natural disasters and their lingering effects are some of the most trying for the society to meet the demands.
When I think about the tornadoes in Oklahoma just 2-3 years ago, and we had some Air Force, some airmen and families that were impacted by those tornadoes that needed help right away. Air Force Aid Society was there before they even asked.
And one of the things that I know General Halper is keeping an eye on is making sure that his organization is adapting to this future. In other words, what worked really well 5-10 years ago is not necessarily what you need to be preparing to do forever.
We need to continue working and finding new ways and new programs that meet the needs of our airmen, because those needs change.
I think that there will be needs that we can't anticipate, but I think the Air Force Aid Society has a great track record of responding to those changing needs as they develop.
We've got to be looking forward to see how the Air Force is changing, how the world is changing, how our nation is changing, so we can meet those new demands.
We try to make sure that we will be in a position when the extraordinary need arises to rush to the aid of airmen and their families.
This is a family business, and the Air Force Aid Society has definitely been part of that family.
I don't know what would happen to me. I wouldn't know where to turn, so.
Someone that you can lean on in times of need.
Hey, I've used it. They're there to help.
It means the world to me.
My airmen have been able to understand that the Air Force is a family, and we take care of each other.
Airmen are called upon to do some remarkable things. All of our service members are called upon to do remarkable things, to the extent of giving your life. And we ought to take care of those that take those kinds of oaths and have that kind of obligation and responsibility to the security of this nation and the support of our allies, and take care of them like we take care of the nation.
What an amazing story. 75 years and we're still here, going strong, fulfilling that dream of General Hap Arnold and his spouse.